Hi, everybody. It's Kiki. Happy Imbolc. So, Imbolc is a Celtic festival. Traditionally, it was a festival and Day of Brigid. It's the day commemorating the start of spring, and Brigid is the goddess of fire. And in that way, we think of creativity and creation, fertility, especially regarding the food we eat and livestock and all those types of things. Traditionally, that's what her deal is. She is a Celtic goddess, and she's actually someone that I pay close special attention to for my own personal work and altar space, and I work with Bridget quite a bit. So today is an important day for me. I love her. I'm going to be doing a collective reading for Imbolc and for Bridget. I also want to note Mercury is in retrograde. Venus has just moved into Aquarius. We have actually an Aquarian stellium, so we have multiple planets now in Aquarius. It's a very unique, kind of interesting, magical time. Um, Depending on where your chart lies, you can check out where Aquarius is in your chart and pay attention to what area is highlighted for you specifically. And also, I'm dressed in my Birth of Venus costume. It's been quite a while since I've come out in this one. It's been my intention to do for some time, but didn't quite feel right up until now. Also, still kind of, I just feel like the interwebs are so oversaturated, but I did want to share a collective reading with you and answer some questions from patrons. Let us begin. I also will say I'm doing a spread variant from Seed of Shakti. I love her spreads, so plugging her in there. Check out her work. She's great. I also just want to acknowledge that I am on the land of the Peoria Native tribe, as well as the Three Fires Council. So that's Chippewa, Ottawa, and Potawatomi Native land that I am sipping on today. And we'll begin. So the first question is, how can we hold space for our flame to burn brightly and honor the blessings of Imbolc? And I am using this deck. This is my favorite deck to work with these days. I have a lot of different decks, but I kind of tend to gravitate towards one or have an intuition about which ones to use for readings. So it can vary, but lately this has been my go-to. If you have questions about it, let me know. I like this deck also because it incorporates a lot of astrology, and I just love the imagery. So how can we hold space for our flame to burn brightly and honor the blessings of Imbolc? We have, oh, that's funny. For the first card, there's a lot of deliberation about whether this is an actual card in this deck. Most say that it isn't. I like the unicursal hexagram, which is this shape here. It's a 6-pointed hexagram star. So the 6 points, if you think about numerology, six. Oh, so, and also I read this card. I love this card actually. I think it's pretty magical. And I think it's interesting that we're getting this card for this question. You can see on here, there is a yellow flower. So I think in relation to Imbolc and Venus and all of these things, for me personally, I'm putting yellow flowers on my altar space, and I'm also going to be burning yellow candles. But I think in general, just having this as this card for this question, 6 points. So the number six, it equates to pleasure. So I would actually, in a way, think about things that you find and take pleasure in, and especially yellow things, I think, for this, because yellow is a symbol of spring and fertility. It's also your solar plexus, so feeling confident, feeling strength. Those are the two things. Making sure that you're taking care of your digestion, eating yellow foods. So we can say pineapple, I keep thinking of, and then any sort of yellow flowers that you can pick up, or even plants. Maybe plant them by the new moon on, which day is that? I think it's coming up. It's soon. It's in, I want to say it's on the 11th. Yeah. But the Aquarius new moon, that would be a great time to actually plant some seeds and maybe make a date. There is just a fucking bug. Okay. So make a date around near the Aquarius new moon to just hold some space. Think about sweetness. So honey, sweet smelling flowers, yellow fruits, things like that, ingesting them, spending time with them, pleasureful, pleasing, enjoying those sorts of vibes, that sort of thing. Okay. As the light continues to return, what hidden potential is beginning to rise up within our hearts? So we have the Five of Swords. Five of Swords. For this, I'm going to say, I think it's interesting to the Five of Swords with this card, we have Leo, which you can also consider kind of a solar, I was mentioned strength and confidence. So we have Leo and we have Saturn, which Saturn is also coming in hot, and in Venus. And Saturn is actually constricting. So with this card, in relation to the question, hidden potential rising up as the light returns. So I would say give yourself some time and space to allow for deliberation, allow for mental constriction, perhaps anguish in relation to feeling things out that need to be felt out within your own ego and ego structure. So doing any sort of inner child work will help with that. I want to say journaling, just giving yourself moments of space to feel a certain crisis almost and connection. So utilizing your own forms of spirituality and connecting that in with your own fire and creativity. So merging those things between the intellect, spirituality, and creativity, giving yourself really solid structure and boundaries around your creativity in order to start to rise up and out, which also we can say connected in with COVID. You know, we've been constricted and kind of trapped in our heads in a way. So coming up with creative concepts for yourself to climb out of the confines of the mind and the ego. Okay. On Imbolc, what intention should be set? Okay, so we have death. Card, it's quite clear to me. So the intention that we should be setting is transformation, a rebirth. Very simple, very easy, very clear. So think about what needs to be transformed, what needs to be rebirthed. It's pretty obvious to me. We need to transform our educational systems. We have a lot of misinformation happening. We need to transform the way we handle critical thinking, and we also need to transform our healthcare system here in the US. We need to transform our belief structure and our perception and what we value. So there's a lot of things that need to be transformed. We're kind of in a mass overhaul in which COVID can be utilized in that way. We're having to slow down and take a step back in order to move forward. And so it's really, really important collectively that we push for these bigger changes that need to come through. And so whatever form you can do that in within your own local community, I think is really important right now. And as the wheel turns, what will manifest this intention? Mm, Ironically, we've gotten the Wheel of Fortune for this question. So this is really saying it's really up to us. We need to take action. This Wheel of Fortune is very, very much about, and this is also the card of Jupiter, which is prosperity and good luck. Jupiter is in also in Aquarius right now. So it's bringing about a shift into the collective conscious. And this card is also very much about fixed signs. It's an amazing card, but it's saying the work you put in is what's going to you're going to reap the rewards of whatever you do and be. So knowing what your values are, being in those values, and then really sticking to them, abiding by them. We're stepping back into this card here, sticking to your own boundaries and creating the necessary steps and boundaries we need in order to move forward as a society, putting in the hard work. We have a new president in office, which personally I find quite meaningless. It's really, you can't rely on people in power that high of a power. They're kind of just all pawns at play for these corporations and other things hidden in the background. So it's really up to us collectively within your own community to hold one another accountable and to be able to work together and be together. So I've noticed a lot lately, there's this real sense of urgency about trying to figure out what to do and find answers. And I just don't think that's necessarily going to be an approach that will work in the long run. I think there needs to be a lot of reflection back into understanding ourselves, our internal selves, how we're operating, why we're operating the way we are, first and foremost individually, and then individuate and come together collectively once we've really taken a hard, stern look at ourselves, each and every one. I see a lot of finger pointing, a lot of blaming, and not a lot of holding yourself accountable. And one great way to hold yourself accountable is to do somatics. So do breathing exercises, breath work, meditation, yoga, exercise, taking care of your body, spending time just really implementing on a physical level and taking care of your lungs and how they connect in with your blood on the cellular level. It's really important right now in order to be able to move forward and feel strength in order to do what we need to get done because there is so much transformation that needs to happen. All right. How can we prepare for the awakening of Earth at the spring equinox? Wow, we are getting a lot of major arcana. So we've received the universe, which is 21, spring equinox. So I would like to think, how can we prepare? Really pay attention to the chain. So if you're going to buy a piece of food or clothes or consume, what are you taking? What's being taken? Do you really know? Do you really actually know? So really getting to the source of um where your things are coming from, who is involved in those. Is it just, does it align with you, your integrity, and your values? I know, like, for instance, Whole Foods. I mean, you think of the name, right? But it's being run by Amazon now. And they are always selling things, for instance, strawberries, frozen strawberries that come from China. Do you pay attention to that? Do you read the ingredients? Do you really know where your things are coming from? Getting a better grip on that, taking the time to get a better grip on that, I think is really important to moving forward and becoming a more sustainable, less wasteful collective culture. Okay, so we have a message from the sun, and we have the Queen of Cups. That's a great one. So, being the queen, think about the sun. Actually, this is funny because my friend just posted, I'm immediately thinking about this. She just posted a little cute phrase about lying out in the sun with your titties out, eating fruit. My ideal. That's my that's my ideal vision of the future. So just like basking in the sun and feeling emotionally whole, feeling like you have everything that you need. You have that piece of fruit by you that's nourishing you, providing you with electrolytes and water and hydration, and also tastes sweet. Magic. Just fucking magic. And if you're there and feeling the sun on your skin, you're going to feel the Queen of Cups energy. It's the queen of your emotions, your emotional state, your feelings. Taking care of yourself is the step to really getting to be the queen of your emotional capacity and state, in which place you can observe yourself on a deeper, more intricate level. And that allows you to become more vulnerable, to communicate more openly, to be more gentle with yourself and with other people. I also would say the sun is saying, be gentle with yourself. Treat yourself like a queen. How would you treat your queen? How would you treat your children? How would you treat Beyonce? Or whatever queen is a queen to you, So thinking about that. How would I treat Georgia O'Keeffe? She's one of my queens. So, you know, and then treat yourself in that same way. Treat yourself well and gentle. Okay. And we have a message from the ancestors. We have the Ace of Swords. So the ancestors are saying, hey, new seed. A new seed is coming through, a new mental concept. Gotten some great cards for this reading. So as a kind of round it off, the more that you can implement yourself physically, treat yourself well emotionally, treat others with thought and consideration, really know your values, really know your integrity, you are going to open up to a new form of understanding new belief structures, healthier boundaries coming through here. So, opening up to new ways of thinking, new ideas, those are going to come through when you're doing the rest of the work here that we've just discussed. Okay, so now we're going to be answering questions from patrons. Thank you to all the patrons. Thank you so much for your support. If you want your own question answered by the birth of Venus, Kiki, and other goodies, discounts on our website, discounts on our services, or if you just simply want to support us, you can head over to our Patreon. I think you can just search Maha Patreon, but I believe ours is patreon.com/Maha. That's MMMAHA. So I'm going to be answering these in the order in which they were received. All right. So the first question is, I want to know if I've found the right industry to be focused on. I'm not happy with all my choices these last few months, but I still don't know if this is where I'm meant to be long term or just for a few more years. So let's ask, are you have you have you found the right industry to focus on? And I think I would also begin by rephrasing your question as a field and not an industry, because we know how the industrial complex is, and I, knowing you, don't think that you want to be participating in any sort of industrial complex. So I will just say, first and foremost, let's call this a field. Are you in the right field to focus on? So you have the Three of Swords. Three of Swords is in Thoth, sorrow, but I don't really necessarily think that is the theme related to your question. What I can say here also about this card, we have Libra and we have Saturn. So there is a constriction within Libra, and also an authority within Libra. So there is a balance happening, and it might feel at times in this field that you're in somehow constricting. So I'm going to say, and then we have three. So three is a creative explosion. It's coming out to become one and make a third. Yeah, we see this in nature all the time. So there is a capability, and then swords is mental and intellect. So there is a capability in this environment for you to feel fulfilled, and that there is always going to be a lot of action and activity and flourishing intellectually for you within the field that you're in. So I also do remember that I think you are a Libra. I'm curious to know where your Saturn is in your chart. I would look at that and pay attention to let me know, actually, you can let me know directly where your Saturn is, and I can give you some more feedback around this because it's a pretty major question to ask. I think there is not a clear yes or no. I think it's a good start. So it is, I'm getting kind of more of a few years vibe, but that you don't have to try and think too hard about it because it's just going to come to you. You're going to figure it out. Right now you're in a process, and the work that you're doing now will enhance what you do down the long in the long run of things. Okay, next question. Um, should I keep my hair blonde or go back to my natural color? Should I keep it in a bob or grow it out? So we have two questions actually. So first, let's do color. Should you keep it blonde? Let's see. We have the Seven of Discs, which is the Seven of Pentacles. So this is action. It's a lot of action happening. Um, it's Taurean and Saturnian. So it's kind of limiting in a way. Yeah. But there's also this element of um, feeling a little more Venusian in the Tauran sense. So there is something kind of relaxing about having this hair color for you. Let's see for natural color. Natural color, you've gotten 8 justice, or in Thoth, it's called adjustment. Um, so this kind of, it's more balancing. I would say that going back to the natural color, you're going to feel more balanced and have to work less at maintenance. It's kind of obvi, but and then should you, what was the other part? Keep it in a bob or grow it out. Okay, keep it in a bob or grow it out. So this is for keeping it in a bob. Six of Cups, pleasure. So the Six of Cups, it's often referred back to nostalgia and letting go of nostalgia. So is the bob somehow feel nostalgic for you, or is this more giving you joy? Two different roads you can take with the bob there. So I would say yes, keep it in a bob. I'll just pull one for growing it out just to see what comes up. But oh, we have the Lovers for that one. So I would say keep it in a bob until Gemini season and then grow it out. That's what I would do. Okay. What should my next book be about? I like this question. Ooh, I love this card. I get this card a lot. This also reminds me of a Helma F. Klimt painting, kind of. I love her artwork. So we have Mercury and we have Sagittarius represented here. This is the Eight of Wands, swiftness. So creative perfection. And Mercury is about communication, Sagittarius is about expansion. So it's kind of saying you have arrived to this new place of creative perfection, which it can be scary to try and move and branch out from that. But this is saying do it. And I would say your new book should be about something about expansion and communication and expanding out from the creative confines you've encountered so far. So go somewhere you haven't gone before, for sure. That is definitely. And play around with it. And again, I do think something about communication, dialogue. Dialogue is very important for your new book. All right. Are serious monogamous relationships meant for me? The questions are loaded today. Okay. So we have Ten of Cups, satiety. I can speak. Satiable. Is it satiable? Ten of Cups represents communal feelings, community, communal emotions. It's also a closure, closing, the end, ending. So if I'm looking at interpreting this as your whole life, kind of, um, I would say that it's possible for you to be in a serious monogamous relationship, but there is also an underlying need for community of some form. As long as you're receiving both of those things, I would say you can be in a serious monogamous relationship, but this might be the last time that you're in one. And then I'm not sure if you believe in reincarnation. I do. So I would say there might be some closure happening with the serious monogamous relationship in this life, and then you're going to move on. Now, you could also interpret this as the serious monogamous relationship you're in, if you're in one now, could be coming to a close, in which case it's time to move on to some form of open relationship or polyamorous relationship. And it might be time to explore those options with some emotional closure occurring now in your serious monogamous relationship if you're in one. Okay, let's see. Where should I go to relax and travel? Well, we have luxury, Four of Cups. So this is about emotional stability. We have water present. We have flowers present. This is in, this represents Cancer, this card here. And so I would say somewhere by water, somewhere where you can get to a garden, or somewhere maybe lavender fields or a botanical garden, and somewhere with water that is recharging and regenerating to you. So I would say a familiar body of water, somewhere really soothing and stabilizing. All right. Where should I move next? This question is for Dancy. Dancy, where should you move? Okay. Well, we have change. Change. So this is the Two of Pentacles, this card. It's also Capricorn and Jupiter influence. So I'm going to say, hit me up. Let's look at your Jupiter line on your astrocartography. I want to see, and I think that's where you're going to go. Somewhere connected to your Jupiter line. And then Capricorn, I don't remember if you have Capricorn in your chart, but if you do, let's take a look at that too. And that whatever line is ruling that. Also, wherever Capricorn, I can't remember your rising sign, but we should look at the house too, because I think that will indicate where you need to go. Okay, the sun is out. All right, this question confused me. It's also kind of triggering because I'm an adopted person, but I'm not entirely sure what you mean by this question. If you're asking about epigenetics or if you're asking about something else. So the question is, how much does past trauma of your biological mother affect you, especially when you are still in the womb? So I have some resources to send you. I would look up epigenetics if you're unfamiliar with it. But I can answer this even without pulling a tarot card because this is something I specialize in. And trauma is inherited up to 9 generations. So it's not just your mother. Your mother is passing generational trauma from up to 9 generations previous. I also do personally believe that you inherit trauma from your past lives, so not just inherited epigenetically, but you can experience this in many different forms and different ways. In the womb specifically, of course you can. So there are many studies about this. I would look up Rachel Yehuda. She is a doctor studying epigenetics. And I would also look at the book, It Doesn't Start With You. And I have a video that a friend shared with me that I'll send to you about experiencing trauma in the womb. The womb is your start before your start, and you're already there, you're already present. And so, of course, you can, of course, it affects you. Now, there are many things you can do to transform that trauma. And maybe for you, that's what this card is more about. So for this card, you've received the Hanged Man, or I like to say the Hanged Person or the Hanged One. Um, this card is really about sitting still and meditating and reflecting on the question at hand. So, spending some time in discomfort, really exploring and studying and meditating on the question, why you've asked the question, what your intention is surrounding the question, and the Hanged Man. I like to always give this um, description of this card. So in yoga, if you are doing an inversion, as this card, this person is inverted, they're hanging upside down. The first time you do an inversion, everything about it doesn't feel right. You're like, no. And it freaks you out. A lot of people fall. It's uncomfortable. You don't know what the hell's going on at first. It takes practice and it takes sitting with it. So the more you do the inversion, the headstand, the handstand, the easier it becomes to really feel good and get the circulation flowing and understand that position. So it can be a position of pause and discomfort at first, but then once you've really sat with it and processed it, it feels really good and you want to do it all the time. So I would definitely say journal around this question, explore different resources, um, some of which I will send to you as a jumping board, and then maybe from there you can go on and do your own research. That is all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back with more. If you like this and you want to ask a question, please come on over to join our community over at Patreon, and we will certainly be doing more of these soon in the future. Happy Imbolc. Happy Aquarius stellium. We have all the planets almost in Aquarius, which is bonkers. So again, take time to pay attention to that. I would also definitely, if you're into astrology, recommend checking out the Chani app. She's doing a lot of work. Look at the workshops, which is based on your rising sign. And in that app, you can also see where Aquarius is in your chart and which house it's ruling. And she'll undoubtedly talk about that. Or you can hit me up for a reading. Yep. If you want like to go really in depth, we can focus on that area a little bit in your reading. That oh, thank you. Love to. Have a good week. Happy February. Happy Imbolc. Happy return of the light.